Welcome to Up Close and Personal. Today's topic is Mental with Roberto. Listen as he talks about mental music and its origin.
Hi there, welcome to another episode of Up Close and Personal right here on KOOL97 TV. I'm Yashika Graham, and on this program we get to know your cool personalities a little bit more. This time around we're diving into an early form of Jamaican music, and we're talking about mento. Joining me for this discussion is none other than our very own Roberto Moore. Now Roberto brings you Starlight Soul on a Tuesday, and more recently, the Soul Cafe on a Sunday. Now this episode is supported with the kind contributions of the Jamaica Music Museum, a division of the Institute of Jamaica, and so we thank them for their support. Welcome, Roberto.
Hi, Ashika. Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful to have
I'm
you.
always here.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Okay, fantastic. So let us begin this way. How did you become interested in Jamaica's musical history?
Well, that starts in the household. Grew up in a very musical household. Father was very much into mento, very much into Jamaican music and jazz. So, naturally I gravitated toward it. So that's how all that started, and then just delve deeper into Jamaican music after that.
Yeah. So some people get into the music, and so the air is what their focus is, but you got interested as well in what happened before. You talk a lot about the 1920s and that kind of thing. So what made you want to be a researcher, for example?
Because I don't think enough people do enough deep search into Jamaican music. There are people out there doing stuff, but I just want to do my part to even delve a little deeper, try to find something that somebody didn't know about before, or go somewhere where nobody has gone before. And in my book in particular, it's about jazz and how jazz got here. So kind of a different.
And it's important to have that record.
Absolutely.
As a nation.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into a bit of the meat of the matter for this program. For those who may not know, and perhaps those who need a refresher, what exactly is mento? What's that genre? So
long before you had reggae, rocksteady, and ska, there was mento. And mento was Jamaica's first popular music. When the Africans were brought to the Americas, they brought with them a lot of their cultural practices, religious practices, which we still see today, like Pocomania, Revival, Kumina. And mento has its roots in Africa as well, has its roots here as well. And you see that in some of the instruments, like the banjo behind you there, the rumba box here, has its roots in Africa.
Okay, so I like that you brought up the instruments, because that's one of the distinct things about mento. And for me personally, the turn your hand make fashion concept of, you see the grater, you see these different things. To what degree did what became mento lean heavily on that African origin? Like, to what degree was it an exact kind of replication of what that history was?
Well, one of the key characteristics of mento is what they call call and response, which is that's very African. Where the instruments are concerned, the banjo, remember, they didn't come with any instruments.
Right, of course.
So they had to refashion instrument, with whatever they could find. So like the banjo right here, the keys on it is shorter, and it's less keys than what you would find in Africa. So they had an instrument called the mbira, which is what the rumba box borrows from. So they kind of, as you say, turn your hand make fashion. They had to refashion some of the instruments, and recreate them from memory. And that's how we have the rumba box. And many years later, it went back to Africa actually.
Wow.
The instrument itself, this form.
That's fascinating, because Jamaica has garnered such respect for the work that we do musically and in other areas, but it's just fascinating to see how we continue to make, and that our origin in music was from making out of nothing, basically, and continuing to remake ourselves. So that's fascinating. So something that I'm also curious about is what were Mento artists singing and talking about then in those early stages, and about what time period was that?
Well, first of all, they were excellent composers. Yeah, prior to the 1950s, which was, I mean, Mento's real heyday, the golden era, so to speak. You'd have what they call, you'd have these roving minstrels. What these guys did was, all these guys did was compose, write songs about anything topical. You know, the lady at the grocery store, transportation in Kingston, anything topical, they would do that. And so most of the mentor guys borrowed from that earlier period, those of the 50s, borrowed from that period. So they were topical, talk about absolutely anything. Like Count Lasha would sing about Jamaicans buy Jamaica, which was a campaign to encouraging people to support Jamaican products. Anything topical, you know. These guys were brilliant writers. They could write about anything. And so, you know, and they also drew on the older folk songs like Penny Reel, Instead Market, and a whole slew of others, you know. But they were excellent writers. When these guys write a song, it's, I mean, you hear it, but you really you almost get a visual of what they're saying. That's how good they were.
Okay. Who are some of the key artists coming out of that first period? And perhaps some iconic songs, if you can.
Count Lasha. You have like Count Lasha is well known for Talking Parrot. I mean, that's a famous tune, and that, yeah, he got some popularity off that one. Count Lasha, Harold Richardson and the Ticklers, Lord Fly. So many.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how did this music get out? How were people able to hear this music?
Well, a lot more people heard it with the start of our recording industry, which was 1950. So Stanley Motor, city merchant, decided he was going to set up a little one-room studio at Hanover Street. And, you know, put an ad in the paper, come and hear your voice, you know, in 2 minutes, come and record your voice and hear yourself, and invited musicians to come in to, you know. And somewhere, I think, Mr. Mata decided that, hey, this could be something big. And started recording some local musicians. The first musician he took into the studio was Lord Fly and the Dan Williams Orchestra. And as they say, the rest is history. And that was the start of Jamaica's recording industry. Yeah, with Stanley Mata.
Okay. So we see the record that you have displayed back there says Calypso Date.
Yeah.
And I understand there's a curious relationship between Mento and Calypso. So what is that?
Well, Calypso was extremely popular globally, you know, with the likes of Harry Belafonte and, you know, even prior to the 50s, the Andrews sisters with rum and Coca-Cola. So what Stanley Mata and a few other entrepreneurs at the time wanted to do was to really market it, use it as a tourism pitch. So what they did was, unfortunately for Mento, Mento was branded as Calypso as well.
Oh, wow.
But these musicians were playing Calypso as well, you know. But Mento just fell under the banner of Calypso as well, you know, and kind of mask it, you know. I understood why they do it. I'm not happy with it, but I understood why they do it. You know, Calypso was the bigger marketing tool to sell Jamaica. You know, so you.
But that distinction is important.
Yeah, and over the years, over time, you make the distinction. You can hear the difference. You can hear the difference because those early songs started out with a very jazzy feel. Because what he did was he used some jazz musicians, and they wanted to sound a little bit more polished because they didn't think that the tourists would understand what the real deep mental musicians were singing. So they said they go for somebody who, you know, people could understand. So they kind of polish it up a little bit. But over time, yeah, it worked out. It worked out.
What we do notice is that Mento kind of re-emerges, particularly at certain points in time or certain events. independence period comes to mind, or a nine-night, you know, a country nine-night, you know, you see the Mento musicians there. What is your sense of what draws Mento out at those particular points in time?
Well, Mento is rhythmic, very rhythmic. So it's not surprising that they use that. It's a very happy music. Even at a nine-night nowadays, well, it's not a samba event for a lot of people anymore, you know. And Mento for me is the perfect tool for that. As I say, it's rhythmic. Even if you can't dance Mento, when you hear them guys start playing, you have to move somewhere or another. And it's just generally a happy music.
Right.
So it lightens the moment, you know. You're celebrating the life, well, the death, the life of the person. But Mento helps to make it into a happy occasion, you know, celebrating the person. So that's good. That's one of the lasting legacies of it.
And we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. There were particular points when I saw you get really excited, talking about the musicians, talking about the music. What does Mento mean to you, if you can sum that up?
It's rhythmic, it's happy. I mean, when you listen to these guys sing or play, you hear the joy. You feel the joy, you hear the joy. It's rhythmic, and that's what I really love about it, you know. It's just a happy music for me, you know, and especially in these times nowadays, you need every bit of joy you can get.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
Well, Jamaica remains one of those sources, certainly globally an icon, you know, as a source of music, a powerful source of music. And this history is certainly telling us where that richness is coming from. And we continue to create. What would you say is Mento's legacy even today?
Where reggae is concerned, a lot of people probably don't know this, but the early emergence of reggae in the late 1960s borrowed a lot from Mento. Maybe not a lot, but it borrowed from Mento in terms of the guitar and just the whole feel of it. Because you take a song like Larry and Alvin, Nanny Goat, the same way you dance certain Mento tunes. No, I can't dance it, but certain way that you dance Mento
I was just
tunes,
about to ask about
you
that.
know, you're the dancer here. You can dance it the same way. But it borrows from a lot of the Mento, the feel, you know, to the point where some started to call it, you know, Mento reggae, you know. And later on, another hybrid in the 70s came out, you know, with guys like Stanley and the Turbines, Dave Mike Isilo, Brown Gal, and quite a few others, you know, but borrowed heavily. Borrowed from, the influence is there with Mento in those songs. And even in ska, even though rhythmically it might not borrow from Mento, but they drew on the popularity of Mento, because you'd hear like even the Wailers doing Maga Dog in ska. You'd hear the Gay Lads doing Slide Mongoose, you know. You would hear Gay Lads again doing Gallant Boy, you know, a lot of them, the Linstead Market. So some point over the years, they always borrow, go back, you know. So that's one of the legacies, especially with reggae, you know. It's different now. Dub is a little bit different, or dub reggae, but definitely that early period of reggae, that transition period, definitely has a connection to Mento.
Wow. Well, just from having this little discussion, we can tell that there's so much more for us to get into, to learn about Mento, about our origins as a people, you know, and that, you know, Mento is kind of like a source music, and that we're continuing to access that source. And
I just add this, that you know, it's really not, we talk about the foreigners, you know, Japanese, Europeans, who are interested in our music, probably more than us, you know. But it's not only reggae, rocksteady, and ska. There's a Mento band in the Philippines. You have a Mento band in Spain. So, you know, we need to pay attention. We need to wake up. We need to pay attention.
And that's a great message to end on. I do want to thank you, Roberto, for diving into this aspect of our music with me. You know, we're most familiar with you getting into the soul expressions, and you can catch Roberto on a Tuesday for Starlight Soul and on a Sunday with the Soul Cafe. Thank you so very much for joining us.
You're most welcome.
All right, so this has been another episode of Up Close and Personal. I do want to thank you for tuning in, for listening to us on air, and for locking on to watch this edition. We do want to say big thanks to the Jamaica Music Museum for their contribution. They're a division of the Institute of Jamaica, and they continue to do very important work. I'm Yashika Graham. Catch you next time.
That was Mentor with Roberto, a look at mentor music and its origin, right here on KOOL97 TV. Thank you for watching.